Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to do a review and match ratings for today's video. And before we get into the video, I wanted to tell you guys I'm really grateful for the support you gave me in the previous video where I talked about the predicted lineup for the Arsenal vs Southampton game, which ended in a 1-1 draw. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one, and if you guys haven't checked that one out, you can go check that one before you come and check this one, because there's a lot of things from that video that you can bring into this video. But other than that, let's get right into it. So it was a 1-1 draw for Arsenal against Southampton, with Aubameyang finally getting on the scoring sheet, with Gabriel sent off after 2 yellow cards, an assist from Nketiah, and a goal from Walcott, an ex-Arsenal player, for Southampton, and an assist for Che Adams. So what happened is basically Mikel hopes a draw with Southampton will prove the start of his side's recovery after they ended a 3-match losing run in the Premier League despite going down to 10 men. Theo Walcott opened the scoring for the informed Saints on his return to his former club with a delightful dink over on-rushing goalkeeper Bernd Leno. But Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang finished smartly after the break to level as Arsenal ended a run of 797 minutes in the Premier League without a goal from open play. However, the Gunners' ill discipline cost them a game as Gabriel was sent off, being booked twice in 4 minutes. Substitute Nathan Redmond struck the crossbar soon after as Southampton pressed for a winner that would have moved them briefly top of the league. The visitors could not make their pressure pay and almost conceded at the other end late on when Rob Holding's header also rattled the woodwork. The draw lifts Southampton above Leicester City into third, while Arteta's side remained 15th in what is Arsenal's worst start to a top-flight campaign since the 97-95 season. We showed some resilience and character to hang in there for so long against a really dangerous team, said Arteta. We came back after conceding the goal and showed how much we wanted it. Asked if the manager of the fight but could start a recovery, Arteta added, I agree, yes, because if you lose that game at the end, it would have been really difficult to take. Indiscipline costs Arsenal once more. Arteta has said his side cannot hide and have to take the bullet amid their worst start to a season for 46 years. What he did not want was another red card. So in terms of my opinion, it was a decent game. Arsenal could have got a win, but Southampton were good as well. So I think the actual positive result and the actual honest result is meant to be a draw. We had either end having chances, but in the Arteta's press conference he said that he should have won the game, but for me it could have went either side, and I think Arsenal were lucky with the draw, but hopefully we can move on from here. But now let's get right into the match ratings. So first of all, we have Bernd Leno, and for me I think he deserves a 4 for the game. He didn't have much to do, he did have one other things to do, but for me with the Walcott goal he could have came much earlier or stayed in this line. So for me he deserves a 4. Overall he didn't have much to do, but there was things that he could have improved on, so a 4 for him. Next up we have Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and I feel as though he hasn't secured the right back position for him, the right wing back position for him. I think even Bellerin will get back in the squad next week, and I think you should give Cedric a go, because he's a bit more casual today. He was making sloppy passes here and there, so I think he also deserves a 4 as well. For me, he didn't show his abilities. He did go forward some occasionally. He was put in the centre mid, where he was playing 3 centre mids, so Arteta doesn't really rate him. So for me, he gets a 4 in my opinion. So let's see how this one goes. Next up is Rob Holding. He did his duty here and there. He was doing some good headers here and there. He was clearing the ball out. For me, I think he deserves a 6 because he had that one chance where he nearly got the win for Arsenal, but he didn't come out free. Luck is on bad luck at the moment. So for me, he did his job here and there. Time to loan him out now, and for me, he deserves a 6. I rate the guy as a nice guy, but for me, for his performance today, he gets a 6. Next up, we got Gabriel, and for me, unfortunately, Gabriel, I have to give you a 3. You are decent. I've seen from the way Gabriel plays, he does do that quite often, where he comes out into the halfway line and tries to get rid of the ball straight away. That's a tactic you bring into the Premier League, but the thing is, the Premier League players are smart. They like to go on the half turn. They can sprint. If you put your hands on them, they're gonna die. So you can't do anything about that. The game has changed, but you can see there's a little bit of nuances here and there, obviously, because he hasn't played since March for a little while, but now he's getting back into his rhythm. Hopefully he will come out good, because he's been one of our bright sparks from the transfer window. He looks like a decent player. He looks like he can really make a difference to his Arsenal defence. Get someone onto him. I wanted William Saliba, but he's not going to get the look in my opinion. But for me, for his performance, the red card unacceptable, so he gets a 3. Next up, we got Kieran Turner. For me, he done his bit here and there. I think he gets a standard 5. And nothing much he could have done. He was told to be in more in a reserved position, more stay at the back. He just made passes here and there. He done his defensive duties, but for me, we didn't get the win, so he gets a standard 5. I think there's nothing else you can say. I looked at Robertson, who compared to him, he needs to improve much better. Next up, we got bukayo, Saka, and I think he was one of our best players on the pitch. After anyone there, he was looking the most creative. Out of him and Nicolas Pepe, he was looking more creative. He took 3-4 players before Aubameyang got the goal. So for me, he's the best player on the pitch, so I think he gets a 7. Because he looks like a bright prospect. He looks like a good player for the future and a good player right now. He's saving Arteta right now with that assist. So hopefully he looks like a good player. So I think he gets a 7. Next up, we got El Neni. For me, he really didn't do that much in my opinion. He was average. He was par at best. For me, he deserves a 5. He didn't do much to do. He just done the simple passes here and there. Sometimes he done a lofted ball here and there. But for me, he was average, bang average. So I think he deserves a 5. In the midfield too with Ceballos, I think he deserves a 5. Next up, we got Dani Ceballos himself. And I feel like he was very angry when he got subbed off. We could see why, but it was a tactical change. Arteta needed someone to play in the defence, so he had to take one man off, and he felt Ceballos, the more creative player, had to be taken off. But for me, the midfield today was just a standard 5, but they were getting bullied by Southampton's defence, so for me, Ceballos gets a 5. Next up, we got Nicolas Pepe. For me, he did do his bits here and there. He tried to take on players, but obviously he's getting back into Premier League. Hopefully Arteta keeps trusting him, give him more games, give him more attempts, because you see what Kai Havertz is doing at Chelsea. Everyone's calling him a flop. We don't want the same with Nicolas Pepe. Hopefully he can do his thing, and hopefully he can really prove his abilities and get back to the form he was at Lille 2 years ago. Next we got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I'm grateful this guy has got his goal at last. I never really called that for him to play in the middle. I've also called that to him, but now I feel like playing on the wing, like giving more time on the ball, giving more passes. So I think we should go back to this 5-3-4-3 system. That's what made Arteta look good. It's true, we put 10 players in the defence, and somehow we rely on Aubameyang to get the goal, but he got the goal for us. He saved us at least a draw. So for me, he gets a 6. We have Eddie Nketiah. For me, he did do his bits here and there. He got the assist for Aubameyang. It was a good 1-2 pass. It was a good link-up play with him. But for me, he's got a lot to improve in his game. He's doing a lot of tracking, but a lot of tackling the ball. He's a good poacher in the 6-yard box. But for me, a lot more to work on. He looks like a good player for the future. Bring on like Balogun, give everyone opportunities. As long as Arteta's giving everyone equal opportunities, 5. But for me, for his performance today, I think he gets a 5. He wasn't the worst player on the pitch, and he wasn't the best player on the pitch. And finally, we got the Mikel Arteta himself. For me, he was at one point in this in the match where he was stressed himself, and he was telling everyone calm down. So for me, I don't know if he's happy about getting the draw, but for me, he said in his post-match interview that we were meant to get the win, but for me, I think it had draw written all over it. So hopefully it could be a turning point, like Arteta claims it will be. Hopefully it will be a turning point for Arsenal and Arteta. You saw Edu got angry when they conceded the first goal, so hopefully Arteta can change from this. But other than that, guys, hopefully you guys remain blessed. I have more videos coming up for you guys, and make sure you stay tuned for the next one. Remain blessed and peace.